think it was possibly started in the States, but it was taken up in Europe by Eurobats, and then the Bat Conservation Trust, and we've been running it for many years now. Last weekend of August always, and we do a public bat walk free of charge for people who are interested to come along. Only this year we're tweaking it slightly. It always seems to me a bit of a waste to have half a dozen members of the Bat Group trailing around in succession, so I thought we'd sort of split up, all start from the same starting point, but go on different routes around the south of the island. And this is to hopefully come across lesser horseshoe bats, which are the exciting find we had a year or so ago, but we don't know much more than the fact that they are here, and we'd like to know where they go, where they feed, etc. So hopefully we'll come across them.
So they're a real rarity on the island compared to the likes of the pipistrelles and such like noctules that people might see around their gardens.
No noctules on the island.
Oh, I'm out on that one. Pipistrelles certainly. I thought there were noctules, but I stand corrected there. Pipistrelles certainly.
Yes, but 3 species of pipistrelles now, because again we found an enthusiast's pipistrelle 2 or 3 years ago. Common pipistrelle, as the name implies, is the commonest bat by far. Sort of the recordings I do, for every 100 recordings of a common pipistrelle you'll get 1 or 2 other species, so they're more or less everywhere really, even surprising places, on the beaches, in town, in Douglas, you can come across them.
And then you get Daubenton's natterers as well?
Yes, they're more habitat specific. Daubenton certainly, still waters, big ponds, slow rivers. You go there, it has to be quite dark. They come out quite late, but you'll see them skimming over the water surface. That's the characteristic way to tell Daubentons.
And so where, with the lesser horseshoe bat, where would you be most likely to sort of find that on the island? That's the question.
It's a bit of an oddity. Their supposed habitat is woodland, woodland edges, and yet they're down south where there's not that huge amount of woodland. In April we recorded them at the chasms, actually living down in the cracks in the rock, and where they go from there to feed, we don't know.
Wow! And so we're talking tiny numbers, are we? As far as we know.
As far as we know, these are the first ever recorded on the island. There have been rumours. There was one a householder had in Glen Chas in 2006, I think. And then these ones in the last year or so, but we don't have many members down south, so not much bat recording goes on down there. We'd like more members. That's part of the point of the bat walk, is to get people enthused and come forward and join us in our quest to document all things bat in the Isle of Man.
Okay, so this coming Saturday then, so if people do want to get involved, they want to come along, what's the score, as it were? What do they need to do?
Just turn up, 8 o'clock. We'll be meeting in a field sort of adjacent behind the Shore Hotel. Hopefully there'll be a sign there to explain. It's between the Shore Hotel and the river as the access into the field to park. And then we'll be setting off round the lanes, round that area, with bat detectors, and we've got bat detectors to lend out to people. And there'll be members of the Manx Bat Group to explain what bats we're seeing and hearing. And hopefully we'll hear the very distinctive calls of the lesser horseshoe. They're unlike anything else you get on a bat detector. So.
Okay, so to explain that a bit more on the bat detector, that this picks up the bat's echolocation, which is ultrasonic. We can't hear it normally. This sort of brings it down to a frequency we can hear and play it out, so you can actually tell from the bat detector if you pick a specific species up.
Pretty well. I'm not a acoustic engineer, so I can't really explain how they work. They just turn the bats ultrasonic. That the lowest frequency Leisler's bat is 25 kilohertz, which is probably twice as high as I can hear nowadays. Pipistrels are up around 50 kilohertz, and these lesser horseshoes are up around 100 kilohertz.
Right. So if it picks something around the 100 kilohertz, chances are it's going to be.
Yeah, but it's also all other species are some sort of click, repeated fast or slow. But these sounds like an old-fashioned tunable radio where you can't quite. It's an amazing sound.
Right, so really distinctive. And I think you brought a bat detector along with you there, but people will, you don't need to have your own. People will be able to, from the group, will have those.
No, yeah, we got plenty to loan out to people, and high-vis jackets, so we're safe. And we'll explain the procedure, but basically it's just go for a walk at night, and with these detectors, so you can hear the bats, even if you can't see them.
And the wonderful thing is, I've always really loved bats. Don't get that many around my place in Cronkervody, but no, a lot of people go down to Kirkmichael and round there. People have them in their gardens and such like. Yeah. Wonderful to find out more about them. And again, they're a protected species, and they're also a wonderful species to actually explore and enjoy.
Yes, they are. They're fascinating, and so many different interesting aspects to their biology, and apart from the obvious fact that they can fly, it's the only mammal that can fly, but there's loads and loads of things, and there's so much we don't know about them. I mean, we don't know where they go in winter, etc., etc. And we need to find out so that we can protect them properly.
And you don't often get a chance to see them close up unless you take a look in some books and such like. But the horseshoe, before someone asks, in the horseshoe, or the lesser horseshoe, there's also a greater horseshoe, I think, as the name suggests. This is referring to sort of the horseshoe shape around the sort of the nose parts.
Yes, they actually produce this ultrasound in a different way to other bats. Other bats, it comes out from the throat, and whereas the horseshoe bats, it comes through the nose, and this sort of horseshoe disc-like thing at the front of their face is used to broadcast it out. That's about as much as I know, really. That's one reason why they are different, and they sound so different on the detectors.
What about weather-wise? Does it go ahead regardless on Saturday, whether it's raining or not? Or
well, the forecast is pretty good from what I understand, but if it is really wet, yeah, we'll postpone it by a day.
Okay.
But hopefully we won't have to. Bats will fly in the rain, up to quite what you'd think they wouldn't be out, but it all depends. If there's insects out, the bats will be out.
Great stuff. So it's coming up this Saturday, 28th of August, 8 p.m. at Gansey. You don't need to book or anything. You can just turn up, as you say. If people want to find out more, obviously they can speak to people on the night, but if maybe they can't get on Saturday this weekend, but are interested in finding more about bats or joining the Bat Group, where do they need to go?
We have a website, manxbatgroup.org, and there's information about the local bats there, and membership and how to join, and forthcoming events, etc., etc.